Greg, good to see you. Thanks for joining our Ask the Expert series here at Experian. It's been a while. How have things been?
It has been. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're happy to have you. Good. So for all of our listeners, let's break the ice a little bit and let them get to know who you are as a person. Quick one answer. What was the last concert you've been to?
It's funny. I took my 12-year-old daughter to the South Side Music Festival in Bridgeport, Connecticut. Now, that shouldn't mean anything to anybody, but the headliner was Noah Kahan, and she is a huge Noah Kahan fan. For those of you that don't know, he sings the song Stick Season, which evidently with that age group is a really cool song. I've grown to like it myself. But the concert, the festival, had some old school bands as well, namely the Goo Goo Dolls. So we got a mix of both worlds. It was great.
This is incredible. Now, my question is, do you stay with your daughter the whole time at the concert, or is she like, Dad, you go hang out in your own section?
Oh, no. I was clearly under lock and key on where I could go and where she could go. But we had some time limits. Awesome. We let her run around a little bit. So
that's incredible. Well, thanks for sharing. Into the ad tech world. So another quick question for you. So what's been the most surprising development in digital advertising that you've seen recently?
Yeah, like to me, it's the real value and importance of the open web. It's a few as the walled gardens have continued to stake their claim. I've been surprisingly enthused and optimistic about the resiliency that literally every player in the ecosystem has shown, from publishers to marketers to data providers to technology providers, literally coming together, solving problems, working for the betterment of the ecosystem and all the constituencies, but also the consumer, and taking the consumer at heart here, and everything that we are doing and really solving these problems and driving a better, more scaled, more performant, and safer open web for everybody. And I'm just constantly amazed at the companies, the teams, everything. It's great.
I love that. I love the thought of us all working together for a bigger, better purpose. All right, so jumping into ad tech and Audigent specifically, talk to me a little bit about today versus the early days of the company and how your company's role has changed in the ecosystem.
Sure. We started the business as a back then what we thought of as a data management platform that was focused on content providers and helping content providers drive new revenue streams from data. Started out as a DMP. Today, when you think about it, today we are the leading curator in market. And so when you zoom out and you think real big picture here, we see our role as a technology provider that's focused on making data accessible at the point of activation, whether that means through curated media and data packages, and as our curation platform allows for, or whether that's through data segments in marketplaces, as we do and how we started the business, or through new and emerging modalities. A good example of that being Chrome's privacy sandbox and protected audience interest groups and whatnot. And what does that mean? What that means is making data available in a lot of ways such that it's safe, privacy centric, and you can really drive performance and scale across all of it. But most importantly, it means meeting the buyer, meeting the marketer, meeting the agency and brand where they are, so that they can continue to utilize and drive their data strategies the same way they always have. The application of how you do it may have to change slightly.
No, I couldn't agree more. So thinking about Audigent's PMPs, you guys are combining first and third-party data with premium inventory. So how does this help advertisers buying programmatic inventory, and what advantages does this offer over like the traditional DSP buying?
Yeah, I think, first and foremost, this is all, when we think about creating those PMPs, creating those media and data packages, it's about helping brands create and customize their own digital media and data supply chain. So, if you're in market for automobiles, if you're a brand that's focused on driving car sales or driving, your test drives, what do you need to do? You want a supply chain, whether that's media and data, that literally is constructed and instrumented for you, for your consumers, so that you can message and market to them in the right way. And so what our PMPs allow them to do is to take and construct that in a way that literally with the tick of a button within the DSP, they have the ability to open up that supply chain and drive that necessary scale and performance that they desire.
Wonderful. So is that different from, is your smart PMP offering different from others in market then? And if so, how?
It's a good question. I think the biggest differentiator for us is the way that we apply that data. So historically, data was applied on the demand side. We've moved it to the supply side and packaged it in such a way that when you move it closer to the consumer and you send it through the supply chain, you have a fully constructed supply chain, as I mentioned, that brings it all the way through, driving that scale and performance. Additionally, the application and the way that we are utilizing that data, where we have real-time connections into the supply side of the ecosystem, really drives the necessary feedback, where we are enriching literally billions of bid opportunities, billions of impressions every day, to be able to understand and drive that necessary performance.
So as we go back and start thinking and referencing, first-party data, how do we see the use of first-party data evolving over the next few years then?
So I think, when we look at first-party data overall, I think we see it becoming far more and more important across the entire space, where the role of data is not going away. It's not going to diminish. It's just how you use it and what you do, and how you make it core to digital marketing and your campaigns as to what you're driving. When you think about that change, what you have today is a role where data is principally applied in a passive manner. And what that means is it is on a shelf, it's available for you to buy, and you can go and you can select a segment, and then you can drive that campaign and apply it however you want to. In the approach that Audigent takes, and the approach that our technology allows buyers to be able to leverage, it is a real active approach of understanding what segment is working, applying that data deep within the supply chain in a real-time manner, and then sending it through, so that you're not only sending it through in a static way, but you're able to optimize, one, the data set, two, the media targeting that comes along with it, and three, the pricing of that data set, so that it drives the performance that you want, whether that's a brand goal or whether that is a direct response goal in doing that.
Awesome. So another hot topic and another way that we're partnering together is contextual audiences. So talk to me a little bit about how Audigent creates and leverages contextually indexed audiences via PMPs, and kind of going back to what you were just mentioning about results, what are you seeing from an engagement perspective?
Yeah, our contextual and cognitive stack, and those solutions are built on a combination of semantic context and signal, predictive browsing behaviors, and then cohort-based learnings, where we're deriving seeds utilizing our Hadron ID. And so when we combine all of that together, really what you see is an idealist segment that can be applied in that same real-time framework and infrastructure that's been built out, so that we can really drive that, again, that necessary performance and scale that becomes the core foundation of everything. And when you think about, what are we seeing as we've rolled this out? We've rolled this out with one automobile manufacturer. They wanted to basically create new ways of, how do I test performance of how do I get more people in for test drives? And I want to do this not through only targeting my first party retargeting data, because I'm maxed out on that. But I want to be able to drive that utilizing context, and I want to be able to prospect in the right way. And so what we did was we set up two segments, basically first-time auto buyers and repeat auto buyers. And what we've seen when you average it all out was we saw literally 2x the scale and 3x the goal of driving those test drives that are so necessary for keeping dealerships in market. And we've seen tremendous results from all of it. It's been a huge success, and we're now doubling down and doing more. So I'm thrilled with the results, and I'm pleased with where we're going with it.
That's awesome. It's great to hear that. Okay, last topic, privacy sandbox. So Audigent has reached a significant milestone by scaling interest groups in Google's privacy sandbox across over, I think, 1.5 billion Chrome browsers. Tell us about how this achievement enhances your DMP's capabilities and really what it means for the brands looking to target consumers in a post-cookie or cookieless world.
Yeah, I think, for us, this has been a real achievement. Again, going back to earlier in the conversation, what's the framework upon which we think about Audigent and everything? It's diversification of data at the point of activation. This is another element of that. And while, the world of Chrome and the world of Google and the sandbox and all that has a lot of scrutiny, we fundamentally believe this is an area where we need to be a leader and we need to drive investment. And so what we've been able to do is really start working across our publisher base to make their data available for monetization, so that we can bring unique value back to them. Again, going back to the, what is the core driver of how we started the business, bring the ability to monetize their data assets in any environment that's necessary. And we've been able to see that across the board. We're seeing tremendous results in all of our testing that we're doing. And we're seeing a lot of lean in. And again, the goal there is to be a leader and drive the effort. Tremendous amount of speculation. So who knows what this brings us, but we'll see. So
yeah, and I think that Audigent is thought of as a leader in the space. To that point, do you think that marketers should still be focused on testing and deploying different targeting strategies using the privacy sandbox now?
I do. I think the only way to, we know there's going to be changes. We know there's significant changes coming. We don't know exactly what those are. And the best thing you can do as a marketer is test and learn to drive what your strategy should be as more information comes in from either Google, from Chrome themselves as an independent, or from the Department of Justice in terms of what's being forced. So it is definitely an interesting world, but the only way you succeed in that is by testing and learning and starting now.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And that kind of leads into my final question. One last thing you leave, it kind of sounds like keep testing, keep trying new things, but any other last thoughts you want to leave for our audience on just how they should think about their overall brand marketing strategies, different things they should incorporate? Any last thoughts?
Data has become part of everything. And it should be part of everybody's buys, whether that is in the programmatic world or whether you're moving into the direct buy world. And the more you can utilize data in your digital marketing, the better off and the more power you have. And so, for a brand, everybody would look and say, hey, that's great, but what does that actually mean? And that starts with identity. How do you have a strong identity backbone upon which to build a data strategy? How do you start building and scaling data assets and understand what works and doesn't work for you? How do you take advantage of media so that you understand how that identity and data framework works in different media environments? And then finally, how do you work with trusted technology partners that can help guide you and work with you on that way and help you, again, drive a test and learn strategy to build this out? And then finally, how do you bring it all together and really understand what the results are and how do you make decisions around it in driving the path forward? And again, I can't emphasize enough, it's about starting now, because as we've seen, the world continues to change, and change is the only constant. So.